All right, well, I want to thank everybody for being here today. As you know, we're here to announce that we are today starting a Name the Team contest for the professional baseball team that will come to Columbia to play in the to-be-built ballpark, the center of the Bull Street campus. To us, it's extremely important that we have community involvement in this process. So we want to make sure that the name is a name that is by and from the community, and one that will be embraced by the community. For us, this will be a process that we will take months on, and starting next week, we'll have representatives here in Columbia. We'll have probably 8 to 10 folks from our organization here for most of next week, engaging in everything from public forums to community meetings. We'll probably go into a few schools, all of that sort of thing. All of this is really in an attempt just to allow us to hear from the community with regard to what makes Columbia special, what they'd like to see the team's name and identity ultimately embody. This is a contest, as I said. We will have a prize for the winner, the person who chooses the name that we ultimately use. If multiple people choose the same name, we'll select one of those winners at random. The way that people can submit their names is through our team website, which we launched this morning. We have it up here on the side for those of you who can see. The way that people will submit their team name is down on the bottom right. They can submit their suggested team name. They can suggest why they think the name would be a good name. There's an opportunity for people to provide graphic or logo information. We fully expect that the community will participate heavily in this, and that's the purpose of all of this. We will let people know what we think makes a good name. We're really looking for 3 things. We're looking for something that's local, again, something that's identifiably Columbia. We're looking for something that's unique. There are a lot of teams out there that are called the Lions, the Tigers, the Bears, the Bulldogs, the Falcons, the Hawks. We're looking for something that'll be unique. That's a big part of what has made minor league identities successful, is having something that's unique. And the final thing is that we want it to be fun. Minor league baseball is fun. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. So that's really what we're looking for. The other thing I'll mention on the website is that in addition to the names, we'll be providing a lot of other information on the project on an ongoing basis. We will have everything from, we'll keep track of all the news and events as John is showing you now. We will have a blog there where we'll be providing updates throughout the contest and information for people. We have a way for people to reach out and ask us questions. We will respond to every question that we receive from the public. We have a section already on frequently asked questions to try to respond to the kind of things that we have been hearing or people have been asking about. And we'll also have a place for people to be able to get on lists for things like season tickets, suites, to receive information about corporate partnerships, about partnerships with nonprofit and community groups, all of that sort of thing. And that's pretty much it. That's what we're here to talk about. I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Is there any plans to be an incentive program for an organization or a community group that has a successful team name?
I'm not sure what you mean by an incentive plan.
Is there, they get tickets to the first game of the season, or?
Yes, yeah. I think we have it in the press release, but the person who is ultimately chosen as the winner of the contest will throw out first pitch, opening night, the first day of the ballpark. They'll also get a prize package. It'll have things in it like an official cap and jersey, so that when they throw out that first pitch, they're dressed in a uniform for the team, the name and logo that they helped create. They and their family or friends will receive tickets to opening night.
Jason, do you already have maybe some ideas in the back of your head of what might be a possible nickname for the
No, this is a completely open process. We fully expect to receive an awful lot of names and an awful lot of good ones, quite frankly. I mean, when we did this process for our team in Fort Wayne, Indiana, we got over 2,500 names. A lot of things that were interesting helped us define certain themes that we saw running through those names, and then we took our time from there. I mean, the most important thing, this is the name we're going to live with for the next 30 plus years, so we want to get it right. We don't really come into it with any preconceived notions. I mean, I am doing my own research, as are some other people in our organization. On our last trip here last week, we stopped by the Richland County Library, and some people in the, what is it called, the local history room, something along those lines. Helped us out, got us some local history books, things like that, which I've got sitting on my nightstand. I'm reading now. So we'll come up with ideas on our own as well. But ultimately, the name we chose in Fort Wayne was one that was offered by a member of the public. And if I had a bet, I'd bet the same thing would happen here.
And once the name is chosen, will you guys have your own graphic design people build the logo?
We will. I mean, among the people that will be with us when we're here next week will be some people who are the folks who designed our logo in Fort Wayne. So we have professional graphic design folks who will do the artwork surrounding all of that, will help us develop the name and logo.
And will the colors be key to whatever is picked, or do you already have an idea about?
No, all that will come together. I mean, the colors often are determined by the name. So in Fort Wayne, our name is the Tin Caps. It's our logo. It's after Johnny Appleseed, who's buried in Fort Wayne, sort of a local icon. They have a big Johnny Appleseed festival every year. There's, I think in third grade in the Fort Wayne Community Schools, they actually do a unit on Johnny Appleseed. With Johnny Appleseed and apples, obviously red was going to be one of our colors. We're the Tin Caps because the legend has it, I think there's a Disney movie as well, that Johnny Appleseed wore a tin pot on his head. So one of our colors is silver, that tin pot. So you see, I mean, what the name is that's chosen will help dictate the colors rather than the other way around. Again, we're not coming into this with anything locked in. This is really something we're asking for help from the community, and that's where everything starts.
And how long ago was the Fort Wayne Tin Caps established?
We rebranded that team. We bought that team in 2006. At the time we bought it, it was actually called the Fort Wayne Wizards. That was not a name that we were thrilled with. So when we moved into a new ballpark in downtown Fort Wayne in April of 2009, we knew we wanted a new team name and identity, something that was, again, more uniquely Fort Wayne, that would resonate more with the people in that region. So we had a name the team contest similar to what we're doing here, and we announced that name before we moved into that new ballpark. So the Tin Caps have been in existence since 2009.
Is there any timeline as to when a decision will be reached for the new name?
I mean, as I said, we will take our time with this. I think we anticipate making an announcement in the spring. So we will get all of these names in. We'll work with our staff and with some professionals who will work with us on this to develop one or more of those names and logos, see which one goes in the best direction. Ultimately, we'll choose one of those, and when it's fully developed, we will reach out with that.
What makes Columbia so unique to you? You say you wanted a local name.
Well, I mean, quite honestly, we're not the ones in the best position to answer that question. I mean, I've spent an awful lot of time here, as several people in this room can attest, over the last couple of years, has been involved with this project. But what we're really looking for is to speak to people who have lived here all their lives, to speak to people who know the history of Columbia far better than we can. That the entire purpose of this is for us to hear from the community and answer precisely that question. What makes Columbia special? What do you think of when you think of Columbia? What makes Columbia unique? And there are going to be lots of different answers to that, and there are probably lots of good answers. And unfortunately, we're only going to be able to pick one of those and develop it. But we are hopeful that the outcome of this process will be at least one of the things that makes Columbia special and different and unique.
You say you're doing interviews at the local. Is that more of a local level, or is it
We'll be doing, we'll be spending several days next week here. Like I said, doing everything from focus groups to community meetings to interviews. We'll want to speak to people who are particularly knowledgeable about Columbia history. So we will be doing that at least next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then that's what's scheduled now. We'll spend more time on it beyond that, obviously. But that's when that part of the process will kick off. And that's starting a week later than this online solicitation, because that allows us to get hopefully a fair amount of suggestions in and gives us something to start that discussion with people with, in terms of what kind of suggestions we've already received over the first week or 10 days of this contest.
Can you tell us where you are in the process of working with minor league for the acquisition of the team? Where are you at in that process? Where are the upcoming deadlines for that?
There aren't any upcoming deadlines. I think we probably would be in a position to announce where the team is coming from to come here in the spring, around the same time as would identify the new team name and identity. In the grand scheme of things, doesn't matter so much where the team is playing now. Ultimately, it will play here. So, where it comes from is sort of it obviously has to come from someplace, because you can't just create an affiliated minor league team. But at the end of the day, where it comes from is less important to us than how all of that works once we're here, in terms of the identity, the ballpark, and that sort of thing.
Where are you in Savannah? How's that played out?
We continue to try to work with the city of Savannah. The process has been, I would say, deliberate. The city council there commissioned a feasibility and economic impact study. It took quite a bit longer than we expected, but the results are actually being reported to the city council at their workshop this Thursday, so 3 days from now. So we have not have no inkling what the results of that study are at this point, and we feel like we'll know at least a little bit more about where Savannah stands on all that after Thursday's release of this report.
And what are they trying to determine?
Whether or not to partner with us to build a multi-use downtown entertainment facility, similar to what we're working with the city on here, similar to what we've done in Fort Wayne, similar to what a lot of other cities have done.
So you would still pursue that as you're pursuing the one here in Columbia? If that came to fruition?
Sure. I mean, we've said all along that our ideal situation, we'd love to have teams in both Savannah and Columbia. Right now, we are committed. The two commitments we have at this moment is we are 100% committed to having a team in Savannah in 2015. We are also 100% committed to having a team in Columbia starting in 2016 and moving forward. Those are the only commitments that we have right now, but that doesn't mean that we wouldn't like to have a team in both places, and that's what we're working toward with the city of Savannah.
Have you had any discussions with anybody in any other franchises in the South Atlantic League or Carolina League or Southern League about the potential of buying one of those teams?
Sure. We can't discuss any particular conversations that we're having. All that kind of stuff is confidential, both under the sorts of agreements you have when you have those discussions, plus under baseball rules. That being said, I think it's safe to say we wouldn't be investing all this time, energy, and resources pursuing this in two different places at once if we didn't feel that we would be able to supply teams to both places. But from the perspective of somebody sitting here in Columbia today, the one thing that is we have a binding contract with the city of Columbia whereby we will bring a team to play here in April of 2016, period. So if for some reason we were not able to acquire another team, that would have no impact on Columbia. Columbia would still get at that point, the one team we would have in that. Not counting Fort Wayne, which is under a similar, we're going into year 7 of a 30-year deal there. So that obviously is not going anywhere.
Where are you on the ballpark? Have you hired an architect?
Yes, architect was hired. That was approved by the city council. I'm going to guess sometime in August. I want to say maybe August 15th, but you'll have to check the internet for verification on that. I'm going off memory there. But so the architect was formally hired. We are well into, and I'd say the latter stages of schematic design. The city several weeks ago issued a RFP for a construction manager at risk. This CMAR, they call it, will basically be the builder of the ballpark. I mean, there'll be lots of subcontractors involved and things like that, but they will supervise and be responsible for delivery of the actual ballpark. The responses to that RFP were due probably, maybe it's about 10 days ago now. So that process was completed. We conducted interviews with the firms that were shortlisted for that. Those interviews were conducted last week, and I think that we are hoping and expecting that at the City Council meeting next Tuesday, the staff will present a recommend approval of a contract with that construction manager at risk. So, 8 days from now, we expect to formally have somebody on board, but those negotiations are in process now.
And when do you expect groundbreaking?
I would think somewhere in the range of about 45 days after we have the construction manager at risk on board is when we'd have a formal groundbreaking, start to move some dirt, that sort of thing. Weather permitting and all that kind of stuff.
So this fall, you'd like to see later this fall?
Yeah, we would expect later this fall that you'll start to see some stuff happening on the site. Absolutely.
How many months does it take
To build a facility. Well, I'll tell you from our experience in Fort Wayne, we broke ground in mid-November of 2007 to open in April of 2009. Every site is different. This site presents some challenges that the Fort Wayne site didn't, and vice versa. I'd say the most obvious difference beyond differences in site itself are that in Fort Wayne we broke ground in November, but November in Fort Wayne and November in Columbia are quite different weather-wise, so we had to limit what we did for the first 5 or 6 months because there are certain things you can't do when the ground is frozen, the temperature is below 32 degrees, everything from site work to pouring concrete. So we broke ground in November of 2007, we were limited in terms of what we could do until the weather got better. So we did that over the course of, about 16 months. We did that over 16 months, but through 2 Northeast Indiana winters. Here we would hope and expect that the process will be a little bit shorter or a little bit less rushed, let's say, just due to the fact that we don't have winters limiting what we can and can't do outside. Any other questions?
Can you tell us all your social media handles?
Sure. John?
On Twitter, we're at Columbia Pro Ball, all one word. And on Facebook, we're at facebook.com/Columbia Pro Ball.
And what's the hashtag we're using on Twitter for this contest?
Is #NameOurTeam, which is atop both our Facebook page and our Twitter.
And the website address again?
ColumbiaProBall.com.
And if you didn't get it on the way in, there are copies of the press release there, and they have that as well.
Jason, how tight do you think the timeline is going to be when it comes to being able to take the field, put the team on the field? Do you think that there's going to be enough time there for, obviously they're not going to be taking the field for the first time once the ballpark opens, so is there going to be a gap of time where the team will be able to assemble and practice at that facility, or are they going to have to practice somewhere else?
Yeah, well, the way it works with minor league teams is they will be down at the spring training facility of their major league affiliate until about 3 or 4 days before the season starts. So it's not like the team will be here in Columbia, for instance, in March. In March, they'll still be in Florida or Arizona playing spring training games. But yes, we would anticipate that once they arrive in town, the field and facility would be ready. We in the city have targeted a completion date of March 1st. To have the facility, have everything done, completely by then, which is probably a good, March 1st of 2016, which is probably a good 5 or 6 weeks before the first game will be. And we think that that is very much achievable as a goal date. Again, in Fort Wayne, dealing with 2 very rough winters and not moving the first bit of dirt until November, we still made, with a few weeks to spare, our opening day there. Yeah, we're pretty comfortable that the time frame is achievable.
And with minor league teams, they're not obviously working the highest levels of professional baseball. Those players won't be making a lot of money. They won't be buying homes or anything like that. Are you starting to set up, or would you set up some sort of a mechanism so that they would be able to find places to live and maybe even families to live with?
We do have some players occasionally that stay with families in terms of helping the people with the team, everybody from the players to the manager to the coaches, in terms of helping them find housing. That's certainly something that we do. So we work with the Major League organization. We'll identify places in town that would work with their budget and schedule and all that sort of thing as housing options. The players and coaches will be living here 6 months out of the year, essentially. April through, basically, beginning of April through mid-September.
You may have already answered this question, but let me just ask you again, Victor. How close are you to actually being able to lock down a team?
What I can say is when we'll probably announce where the team is coming from. And as I said a few minutes ago, I guess I understand why people ask that question, is if it matters, but in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't. In other words, wherever the team is now, it's playing in whatever stadium it's playing, and none of that will affect the experience anybody has once it arrives in Columbia. What will affect people's experience is the facility we build here, the management we put in place here. What people will see on the field is the name that comes out of this process. So there'll be really nothing left. It's almost, when you move a team, it's almost like moving an empty shell. That being said, we probably would announce where the team is coming from in the spring, same time as we would announce the
It
name.
would be an existing team, not one that is formed.
You cannot form, you cannot form an affiliated minor league baseball team. The way minor league baseball works is there are 30 teams at each level, 1 team corresponding to each major league team. So if you were talking about a low A team, a high A team, a double A team, there are 30 of them in existence right now in various places around the country. If you want a team of that level, you've got to buy an existing team or move an existing team. You cannot, there's no mechanism to create another one. At some point in the future, maybe if Major League Baseball expanded, there'd be new minor league teams added, but they aren't created or destroyed. There are 30 of them. That's a permanent situation. So yes, it will not be a new team in the sense of being sort of created from nothing.
You said team shell. Will the management piece of that team follow it, or will or lead it, I should say,
Nope.
or will it come from somewhere else?
The management will probably come from a combination of, I'd say, 4 places. We have 2 existing teams now. We have some very high quality people working for those teams. We will probably be bringing some people that are currently working for our team in Savannah. We'll also be bringing some people that are currently working for our team in Fort Wayne. We will also reach out to people with some sort of industry specific experience. That would be the 3rd category. So Savannah people, Fort Wayne people, people who understand some aspect of this industry. And then the 4th thing is we'll be hiring local people from here in Columbia. There are 2 things we need to know to run this operation successfully. One is how to run a minor league baseball team and multi-use entertainment venue. The second is we need to know Columbia. So we can identify people from within our organization and people we know in baseball who know how to do that first piece. And then we also have to identify people here in Columbia who can help us with that second piece. So yeah, the management will be a combination of all those pieces. There won't be any pre-existing, hey, this team comes, all its management comes with it, and all the jobs are taken from that. It'll be an amalgamation.
Do
Any
you have
other?
a mascot?
Excuse me?
Do you have a mascot?
Well, that'll come with the team name and identity. I mean, that's all part of what we are doing here. You know, the mascot, what the mascot will be will depend on what the team is called and why it's called that. So we would hope to be in a position to debut the mascot sometime after we debut the team name, but you know, along with ideas for a team name and logo, people are more than welcome to chime in with thoughts on a team mascot as well as part of this process. You know, what we're looking to do is craft an overall identity that is everything from what's the team name, what's the logo, what's the color scheme that goes with that, what's the mascot. All of that is part of that team identity, which is what, in the end, we're shooting to have come out of this contest.
What about the ballpark name, Jason?
Excuse me?
You're naming a ballpark or getting sponsorship to name the
Uh,
ballpark? Or?
We would expect, you know, that as is typical here, that the ballpark will have a naming rights partner. You know, we would hope that it would be a local or a regional company, and you know, when some agreement on that is reached, we'll invite you all back here and have another one of these press conferences.